oh my gosh, I work so hard.
You're complaining about your hard life and you're so privileged. It's just so weird.
It's ridiculous.
This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on.
That is so beautiful.
No.
They're ridiculous.
She never stops whining.
Slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband.
I've never seen someone that struggles to just give us like one strip of authenticity.
I love your Luke.
Sorry, what's that?
Your Luke. You look amazing. Your Luke.
My Luke. My
Luke. My look. She likes my Luke.
Your voice is driving me crazy and I'm about to jump over there and put my fists down your throat.
No.
Meghan Markle just dropped her raw and real podcast episode, and the internet tore it apart within hours.
40 minutes into the podcast, this little picture, quite a grainy picture, flashed up, which shows a basket of, homemade preserves with a card on it, HRH, Duchess of Sussex, Meghan.
You dropped off this gift basket with ice creams, homemade strawberry sauce to put on top of the ice cream.
I find it a little bit cringe to give a gift to a close friend and sign it Her Royal Highness.
Why even in private? She's using that full title, Her Royal Highness.
I would never refer to myself as Her Royal Highness.
They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore, but I'm going to put it all over my stationery and on the gifts that I give to my friends.
No.
What was supposed to be her emotional comeback ended up as the latest PR disaster. A perfectly lit, overly rehearsed cry for sympathy that fooled absolutely no one.
You haven't seen any of the questions ahead of time, and we're in our sweats, and you look the exact same with no makeup as makeup, and we're
that's very generous.
I'm a very accepting person. Truly, I want to like something about her. I'm searching for something to like about her, and it's so hard.
Here's an email that I've been keeping for you.
I have full body chills right now.
This is why it's so nice to not have makeup on. Thank you. Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
No.
And if that wasn't enough, the woman interviewing her, billionaire Jamie Kern Lima, turned the whole thing into a royal fan club meeting, praising Meghan like she was a spiritual leader instead of a lifestyle grifter with a trademark filing for cupcake sprinkles.
Jamie Kern Lima, who seems to be even more fake and insufferable than the Duchess.
Both of them did come across like they haven't actually, been in touch with maybe someone who's worried about the price of eggs.
Very first question, because I think in friendship it's so important. And I think so many people also have this question for you is, Meghan, how are you? And are you okay?
That's so kind.
Yes, it really is that awful. I may have blacked out from smacking myself in the head.
Dan, when you do interviews on your show, do you do the Jamie Kern Lima reactions? Yes. Oh my God, there's something wrong with her.
Let's talk about the most viral moment. Meghan sitting in a studio pretending to cry. But not a single tear fell. 0. Viewers clocked it instantly. One person said, even her tears have a PR team. And they're not wrong.
She's allegedly wearing no makeup. Meanwhile, she's got like the perfect blowout. Like she's completely camera ready. And she also is pretending that she's crying. There isn't a tear in sight. It's an actor's trick.
An old clip resurfaced from her Suits promo tour, where she literally brags about being able to cry on command using her left eye tap.
During promotion for Suits, she was joking with one of the photographers that she can cry on command. Left eye, go. And then you watch a tear fall down her face, and then she starts cackling because she's so proud of herself.
She has this really famous thing where she says one tap left eye and she can make herself cry on demand.
Coincidence? Please. The podcast felt less like a breakdown and more like a demo reel. Jamie Kern Lima, founder of IT Cosmetics, somehow managed to fumble the entire interview. Instead of pressing for answers, she just nodded and gushed for an hour straight. At one point, it genuinely felt like she forgot she wasn't applying for a job in Meghan's PR team.
Thank you for trusting me with your first ever podcast and with your friendship.
Yeah. Means a lot, Jamie. Thank you.
Yeah.
And this podcast with Jamie Kern Lima was absolutely car crash. I mean, Jamie Kern Lima is actually a very successful woman, self-made billionaire. However, she is a fame whore because, she first found fame by appearing on the first series of Big Brother. She believes that she's the new Oprah Winfrey. And the problem is, you realize these are the types of people Meghan Markle is surrounding herself with. And none of them are prepared to ever give her a dose of reality.
Usually when we're together, we're in our cozy sweats and no makeup. So that's how we are today. No one's picked up my book proposal yet.
Yes.
I haven't found my soulmate yet. Everything is yet.
The power of yet.
The power of yet. Yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. I'm happy. And the kids are healthy and H is great. But I'm trying to also enjoy these big wins right now.
Yes.
Enjoy them.
Yeah, she's a princess too, and Harry is slaying dragons to rescue her.
You know, look what we built. We've built a beautiful life and we have 2 healthy, beautiful children. And I always think about it like the end of Super Mario Brothers when you get to the final level. And what's the goal in Super Mario? They're like, slay the dragon, save the princess. I'm like, that's my husband.
Who is Harry rescuing her from? The family she abandoned before making him abandon his?
And here's where things got weird. Meghan started talking about how hard her life is, the struggle of doing school drop-offs, normal stuff, right? But coming from someone living in a Montecito mansion with a full-time nanny, it didn't land.
If I don't have meetings in the morning, then I try to do school drop-off. They're at 2 different schools. So from 6:30 in the morning on drop-off mornings for me, I'm not home till 9.
Her life is so hard because she has to do school drop-offs. And thank God that she's got a live-in nanny basically raising these 2 children. I just think she's crying for sympathy, playing the victim when there's nothing to be a victim about. And there's also no sympathy to be granted for this lifestyle that she's chosen to live.
Work so hard. The moment that everything sells out, it doesn't mean that we're done. It means we're working on replenishment and what are the next SKUs and what's the next tranche of products and what's the timing on that and writing the newsletters and writing the social media captions and making sure that all that feels in line and what's the cadence of it. And
in this interview, she really goes on these tangents of talking about how stressful her day is. And when I was listening to it, I was thinking, no, that sounds like a normal day to me, Meghan.
For kids, that's fun, so many good songs. And I've become that mom where I'm like sitting around with friends and I start singing like, Tyrannosaurus, that's the chorus, Tyrannosaurus. I was like, what am I singing? Oh my gosh, I'm singing Storybox. I'm singing Storybox. I am not singing Beyonce in that.
And of course, no Meghan Markle controversy is complete without a failed product line. Her As Ever lifestyle launch sold out in 30 minutes. But customers soon realized that's because there wasn't much inventory to begin with. People are still waiting for refunds. Others never got their orders at all.
Happened to Spotify. The critics were horrible about With Love, Meghan. You sold inventory that you didn't have on asever.com. People are still waiting for their refund.
So when she's trying to sell these kind of, I'm sorry, but crappy, cheap tats to middle America, she needs to have this relatability. And she doesn't have that at all. She's trying to sell herself as this wholesome mother who's baking cookies and making tea for the rest of the family.
It's the oldest trick in the PR playbook: artificial scarcity, fake demand, flashy sellouts. But behind the scenes, delays, complaints, and a mounting pile of bad reviews. And somehow, amid all this, Meghan's filing trademarks for yoga mats and pet bowls, trying to be the next Goop, but landing somewhere closer to Dollar Tree Duchess.
And this was one of the most, every mother out there will understand. She wants us to put together a fruit crudité board for our children in the morning. Now, look, Maureen.
I can't.
Look at this.
I can't.
It's just another lie from Meghan where she's told us one thing about this wholesome family life that she's got, but really it's staff behind the scenes that are upholding this entire image for this woman.
She is doing a cooking show on Netflix. I only watched 5 seconds of it and I thought she was going to cut her wrist by trying to zest a lemon. This girl has never been in the kitchen in her life.
It flopped really hard despite Spotify trying to push it, and they realized that these two don't really want to work, okay?
While Meghan was busy faking vulnerability, Prince Harry decided to one-up her with a full-on BBC pity parade. He took aim at his own father, King Charles, essentially blaming him in advance if anything were to happen to their family in the UK.
He lost at the trial court level on this push to make the British royal family pay for his security when he goes to the UK.
Once they realise that myself, my wife, and our kids are happier outside of the institution, please just look at the fact. Look at the risks, look at the threat, look at the impact that if anything was to happen to me, my wife, or my father's grandchildren, look where the responsibility lies.
What a manipulation. My father's grandchildren. They're going to and it will be his fault.
It's gaslighting on a grand scale. But as soon as Meghan Markle made it absolutely clear that it was all about the moolah, it was all about the big bucks, it was all about trading off the royal name, but she was lining up these deals when she was still the Duchess of Sussex. She was in talks with Disney, she was in talks with the publishing companies, in talks with Netflix. At that point, the late Queen Elizabeth II, quite rightly, in my opinion, said, no, there is no half in, half out. So you go with our blessing, but you lose everything.
Royal insiders were shocked. Even tabloids that usually go soft on Harry didn't hold back. Critics called it manipulative, emotional blackmail. And the worst part? He pulled this stunt while Charles is battling cancer.
But I have zero sympathy for him. The fact that he is putting his father through this in the final years of his life. And Meghan, there are members of the royal family who believe that Harry's behavior hastened the death of the late Queen Elizabeth II.
I believe that too. That's what I say. I say those two killed the Queen.
ITV News reported that even private palace conversations are now on lockdown because Charles fears every call could end up in a Netflix doc. That's how deep the trust issues run. If you're wondering whether this helped Harry's image, spoiler, it didn't.
They kind of f***ed up their whole thing, went way too hard on we're victims, and they assessed the mood of their generation and America correctly in that we are lovers of victimhood.
Yeah.
But America did finally find a way to say, you know what, we love victims, but you two, we've just had a little too much of it.
Meghan showing up to the Time 100 summit was supposed to be a flex, a moment to remind the world she still matters. But instead of celebrating her influence, the internet zeroed in on one awkward fact. She didn't even make the actual Time 100 list. She was there for optics. Rumors started swirling that her agency may have bought her a slot at the summit. Not the list. And her speech? A goldmine of word salad. She rambled about dried flower petals, putting them on eggs and salads, saying they created tiny moments of joy.
She didn't make the Times list of cool people, but she did get invited there because her agency probably bought her access. This is one of the goofiest things ever.
Because I think it speaks to the tiny moments of joy that are so effortless and just create a little bit of magic that we're all craving.
What in the hell word salad is this?
Tiny little flower petals that are dried. I started putting them on salads. I started putting them on scrambled eggs. Level of charm that you find people have when they see these tiny little dried petals is something I can't fully wrap my head around, but I appreciate.
I'm elevating it by putting dried flower petals on all of my food.
I mean, tone deaf could be Meghan Markle's middle name.
People were baffled. It felt less like a speech and more like a failed Goop audition. Even the Daily Mail roasted her for selling jam and honey while pretending to be a global changemaker.
They want it both ways. These people were so mean to us and poor us, and we don't want all this attention. And then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
And then there's the stuff you don't hear in the interviews, the behind-the-scenes stories from people who've actually worked with Meghan. Former staffers claim she's controlling, mean, and impossible to please. Multiple insiders have said she's a nightmare boss, and everyone eventually quits.
I don't like her. That's what everybody says.
Yeah.
Everybody who works for her quits. Everybody says she's a bully. She's very nasty. Not only is she incredibly controlling, but she's a bitch about it to everybody who works for her. When things inevitably start spiraling downward, she blames everyone but herself.
Meghan has always said that, you know, she's got lots of staff around her, and we've heard lots of complaints from lots of people that have worked for Meghan.
But instead of self-awareness, Meghan leans harder into the poor me narrative. Every criticism becomes proof that the world just doesn't get her. Every failure, someone else's fault. That's not vulnerability, it's deflection dressed in couture. Even her nightly email routine to her toddlers feels like a performance. What kind of mother writes full emails to kids who can't read?
Can you imagine being Archie or Lilibet and opening this inbox of 6,000 emails when you turn 18? No one wants that, not the children. And also it sets this really unrealistic expectation, which Meghan is so good at doing for other parents.
Critics say it's not about connection. It's about creating the illusion of being the perfect mom. The inbox isn't for her children, it's for her brand. At this point, the lines between Meghan Markle the person and Meghan Markle the brand are completely blurred.
She married for money. It's very clear she bagged the elephant. She was thrilled she became a, quote, princess.
I mean, Meghan did claim that before dating Harry, she never Googled him, and she said she didn't know much about the royal family.
It was planned from the beginning. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it. And
Before they met?
Yes.
Every appearance, every quote, every product drop feels like it's been run through 5 publicists, Pinterest board, and a team of emotional consultants. Even her podcast, which was pitched as unfiltered and honest, felt more like a press release disguised as a therapy session. The emotional moments were too perfectly timed, the vulnerability too rehearsed, and the interviewer, just another yes man too scared to push back. So the big question is this: are we watching a woman tell her truth, or just another episode of the Meghan Markle show? For a woman who claims to hate attention, Meghan Markle sure knows how to stay in the spotlight. The podcasts, the product lines, the summits, it's a constant stream of curated vulnerability and calculated charm. One week she's crying on cue, the next she's pitching jam like it's diplomacy. And Harry? He's right there with her, spinning royal trauma into branded content. Every time they fall out of the headlines, they pull another authentic moment out of the playbook. But real authenticity doesn't come with a lighting crew, a makeup artist, and a personal brand manager. It comes with flaws, with humility, with truth. And that's exactly what's missing. The public isn't stupid. They're not buying this perfectly filtered version of hardship. Because when every single teardrop feels timed, and every conversation sounds like a commercial, you stop listening with empathy and start watching with suspicion. So here's the uncomfortable truth. If Meghan Markle is the face of modern royalty, then maybe the crown really is just a product line now. The titles, the trauma, the tears, all packaged, polished, and monetized. Is she being raw and real, or just rebranding the same old performance under a different filter? At this point, the only thing more exhausting than her victim narrative is the fact that some people still think it's genuine. Because when even your most emotional moment feels like a pitch, you're not being vulnerable, you're just selling the illusion of it.